Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, The Knowledge Library. Today we are going to discuss some important MCQs from the topic environmental issues. So let us begin. Our first question is, which of the following pairs of gases is the major cause of the greenhouse effect? Option A, CO2 and O3. Option B, CO2 and CO. Option C, CFC and SO2. And option D, CO2 and N2O. The correct answer is option B, CO2 and N2O. Moving on to the next question. Sewage treatment is primarily an option A, physical process. Option B, mechanical process. Option C, chemical process. And option D, biological process. The correct answer is option B, biological process. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is primarily produced by the activity of anaerobic bacteria on sewage? Option A, laughing gas. Option B, propane. Option C, mustard gas. And option D, Mars gas. The correct answer is option D, Mars gas. Moving on to the next question. When did the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act came into effect? Option A, 1981. Option B, 1985. Option C, 1990. And option D, 1975. The correct answer is option A, 1981. Moving on to the next question. Relative biological effectiveness refers to the damage caused by option A, low temperature. Option B, high temperature. Option C, encephalitis. And option D, radiation. The correct answer is option D, radiation. Moving on to the next question. Escherichia coli is used as an indicator organism to determine whether water is polluted with which of the following? Option A, pollen of aquatic plants. Option B, heavy metals. Option C, fecal matter. And option D, industrial effluents. The correct answer is option C, fecal matter. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is a pollution related occupational health hazard? Option A, pneumoconiosis. Option B, asthma. Option C, fluorosis. And option D, silicosis. The correct answer is option B, silicosis. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following organisms is used as an indicator of water quality? Option A, cholera. Option B, azospirillum. Option C, Escherichia. And option D, Bigeia-toa. The correct answer is option C, Escherichia. The next question is, Kyoto Protocol's second commitment period was adopted in option A, Cancun. Option B, Durban. Option C, Bali. And option C, Doha. The correct answer is option D, Doha. Moving on to the next question. What does the greenhouse effect refer to? Option A, cooling of the earth. Option B, trapping of UV rays. Option C, production of cereals. And option D, warming of the earth. The correct answer is option D, warming of the earth. Moving on to the next question. An atmospheric pollutant is option A, 0.0034%. Option B, 0.034%. Option C, 0.34%. and option D 3.4%. The correct answer is option B 0.034%. Moving on to the next question. The main pollutant in the air is option A CO2, option B CO, option C N2 and option D sulfur. The correct answer is option B CO. Moving on to the next question. Aerosols are particles in air less than option A 2, option B 4, option C 3 and option D 1. The correct answer is option D 1. Moving on to the next question. Noise pollution occurs when noise exceeds option A 70 to 75 decibel, option B 50 to 60 decibel, option C 80 to 99 decibel and option D 40 to 65 decibel. The correct answer is option C 80 to 99 decibel. Moving on to the next question. Which pollution causes photochemical smoke? Option A soil, option B water, option C air and option D noise. The correct answer is option C air. Moving on to the next question. Up to 80% of the total pollution in metropolitan areas comes from option A pesticide, option B radioactivity, option C loudspeaker and option D automobiles. The correct answer is option D automobiles. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following does not result in pollution? Option A thermal power project, option B steel power plant, option C automobiles and option D hydroelectric project. The correct answer is option D hydroelectric project. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following pollutant is the most harmful? Option A NO2, option B CO2, option C SO2 and option D CO. The correct answer is option C SO2. Moving on to the next question. Factor contributing to the greenhouse effect is option A green trees in the house, option B grasslands, option C global warming and option D greenery in the country. The correct answer is option C global warming. Moving on to the next question. What does deforestation cause? Option A soil erosion, option B loss of biodiversity, option C distribution in the hydrological cycle and option D all of the above. The correct answer is option D all of the above. Moving on to the next question. What is reduced by eutrophication? Option A dissolved CO2, option B dissolved O2, option C dissolved nutrients and option D none of the above. The correct answer is option B dissolved O2. Moving on to the next question. Carbon monoxide is harmful to humans because option A it forms carbolic acid, option B it generates excess CO2, option C it is carcinogenic And option D, it competes with O2 for hemoglobin. The correct answer is option D, it competes with O2 for hemoglobin. Moving on to the next question. Acid rain is caused by an increase in the concentration of what? Option A, SO2 and NO2. Option B, CO and CO2. Option C, CO and SO3. And option D, O3 and dust. The correct answer is option A, SO2 and NO2. Moving on to the next question. What undesirable changes do pollution cause in the following characteristics of air, water, land or soil? Option A, physical. Option B, chemical. Option C, biological. And option D, all of these. The correct answer is option D, all of these. Moving on to the next question. Scrubbers are primarily used to remove the following gases from the exhaust after spraying water or lime. Option A, CO2. Option B, SO2. Option C, O2 and N2. And option D, CO and CO2. The correct answer is option B, SO2. Moving on to the next question. Volcanoes are dash source of pollution. Option A, artificial. Option B, natural. Option C, both A and B. And option D, man-made. The correct answer is option B, natural. Moving on to the next question. Fluorosis is carried by. Option A, CO2. Option B, chlorine. Option C, nitrogen. And option D, water. The correct answer is option D, water. Moving on to the next question. The cause of gastrointestinal disturbance is. Option A, chromium. Option B, cardamom. Option C, sodium. And option D, selenium. The correct answer is option D, selenium. Moving on to the next question. The full form of BOD is. Option A, biological organism death. Option B, biotic oxygen demand. Option C, biochemical oxygen demand. And option D, biological organization day. The correct answer is option C, biochemical oxygen demand. The next question is, BOD test for biological oxygen demand is used to measure. Option A, air pollution. Option B, water pollution. Option C, noise pollution. And option D, soil pollution. The correct answer is option B, water pollution. Moving on to the next question. Oxygen plays a significant role in a BOD test as it has. Option A, destroy inorganic matter. Option B, destroy pollution. Option C, destroy waste organic matter. And option D, none of these. The correct answer is option C, they destroy waste organic matter. Moving on to the next question. The environment is heated by. Option A, visible light. Option B, UV rays. Option C, infrared waves. And option D, radio waves. The correct answer is option C, infrared waves. Moving on to the next question. As a result of global warming, sea levels will. Option A, increase. Option B, decrease. Option C, remain the same. And option D, none of these. The correct answer is option A, increase. Moving on to the next question. The troposphere reflects what percentage of solar radiation into the outer space? Option A, 10%. Option B, 17%. Option C, 34%. And option D, 90%. The correct answer is option C, 34%. Moving on to the next question. Organic substances found in the biosphere necessarily contain option A, silica, option B, carbon, option C, oxygen, and option D, nitrogen. The correct answer is option B, carbon. Moving on to the next question. The region that lies above the troposphere up to 50 km in distance is called option A, mesosphere, option B, stratosphere, option C, troposphere, and option D, thermosphere. The correct answer is option B, stratosphere. Moving on to the next question. In CO2 in the Earth's atmosphere disappears, the Earth's surface would option A, increase, option B, decrease, option C, depend on oxygen concentration, and option D, remain the same. The correct answer is option B, decrease. Moving on to the next question. Which of these has the least greenhouse effect? Option A, carbon dioxide, option B, nitrogen gas, option C, water vapors, and option D, ozone. The correct answer is option B, nitrogen gas. Moving on to the next question. Gas produced by paddy fields and involved in global warming is option A, chlorine, option B, methane, option C, CO2, and option D, H2S. The correct answer is option B, methane. Moving on to the next question. Checking of re-radiating heat by atmospheric dust, O3, CO2, and water vapor is option A, ozone layer effect, option B, solar effect, option C, radioactive effect, and option D, greenhouse effect. The correct answer is option B, greenhouse effect. The layer of ozone is thicker at option A, equator, option B, poles, option C, mountains, and option D, sea. The correct answer is option B, poles. Moving on to the next question. Among the following, which is not a greenhouse gas? Option A, O2, option B, CO2, option C, N2O, and option D, CH4. The correct answer is option A, O2. Moving on to the next question. The Montreal Protocol was called to examine the emission of what? Option A, e-wastes, option B, UV radiation, option C, CFCs, and option D, all of these. The correct answer is option C, CFCs. Which of the following is not considered an atmospheric pollutant? Option A, CO2, option B, SO2, option C, hydrogen, and option D, CO. The correct answer is option A, CO2. Moving on to the next question. The major aerosol pollutant in jet emissions is option A sulfur dioxide, option B carbon monoxide, option C methane, and option D fluorocarbon. The correct answer is option D fluorocarbon. Moving on to the next question. The control of gaseous pollutants can be achieved by option A arresters, option B electrostatic precipitators, option C pyrolysis, and option D adsorption. The correct answer is option D adsorption. The next question is, which one of the following acts as a secondary pollutant? Option A Br2, option B Cl2, option C NO2, and option D HNO3. The correct answer is option D HNO3. Moving on to the next question. Identify the most effective device to eliminate particulate matter from the industrial emissions. Option A cyclonic separators, option B trajectory separators, option C incineration, and option D electrostatic precipitator. The correct answer is option D electrostatic precipitator. Moving on to the next question. Cleaning environment with biological options such as microbes and plants are called option A bioremediation, option B biotechnology, option C biowarfare, and option D incineration. The correct answer is option A bioremediation. Moving on to the next question. Extensive planting of trees is known as option A afforestation, option B agroforestry, option C deforestation, and option D social forestry. The correct answer is option A afforestation. Moving on to the next question. Appropriate measures to reduce overall greenhouse gas emissions are the commitments of the option A Montreal Protocol, option B Environment Act, option C Kyoto Protocol, and option D Earth Summit. The correct answer is option C Kyoto Protocol. Moving on to the next question. In India, jhum cultivation is practiced in option A northeast states, option B southwest coast, option C southeast coast, and option D Gangetic Plains. The correct answer is option A northeast states. Moving on to the next question. Ozone layer is formed in which zone of the atmosphere? Option A mesosphere, option B stratosphere, option C troposphere, and option D ionosphere. The correct answer is option B stratosphere. Moving on to the next question. What gas in the atmosphere holds up ultraviolet rays? Option A O2, option B O3, option C N2, and option D CH4. The correct answer is option B O3. Moving on to the next question. Polluted water is commonly represented by the following organisms. Option A E. coli, option B P. typhi, option C Vibrio, and option D Entamoeba. The correct answer is option A E. coli. Moving on to the next question. Egg cells thinning in birds is caused by DDT because it inhibits option A calmodulin, option B calcium ATPase, option C magnesium ATPase, and option D carbonic anhydrase. The correct answer is option B calcium ATPase. Moving on to the next question. DDT is banned nowadays because of its option A very costly, option B not available, option C inflammable, and option D not degrade easily. The correct answer is option B not degrade easily. Moving on to the next question. Which pollutant is non-degradable? Option A smoke, option B polythene, option C copper scraps, and option D iron scraps. The correct answer is option B polythene. Moving on to the next question. Fluoride pollution causes chlorosis or necrosis of option A leaf margin and tip, option B stem, option C all membrane systems, and option D nucleus. The correct answer is option A leaf margin and tip. Moving on to the next question. Radioactive pollutants have the following adverse effects. Option A gene mutation, option B hepatitis, option C polio, and option D TB. The correct answer is option A gene mutation. Moving on to the next question. Non-biodegradable waste includes option A DDT, option B leather, option C wool, and option B cotton. The correct answer is option A DDT. Moving on to the next question. The amount of fresh water on earth available as frozen water at the pools or glacial ice is about option A 0.5%, option B 0.02%, option C 0.01%, and option D 1.97%. The correct answer is option D 1.97%. The next question is DDT is a option A non-biodegradable pollutant, option B biodegradable pollutant, option C antibiotics, and option D none of these. The correct answer is option A non-biodegradable pollutant. The next question is spraying DDT on crops cause pollution of option A air only, option B air and soil only, option C air, soil and water, and option D air and water only. The correct answer is option C air, soil and water. Moving on to the next question. Excessive fertilizer discharge into water bodies result in option A growth of fish, option B death of hydrophytes, option C eutrophication, and option D silt. The correct answer is option C eutrophication. When a huge amount of sewage is dumped into a river, the BOD will be option A increased, option B remain unchanged, option C slightly decrease, and option D decrease. The correct answer is option A increase. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is most likely to have the highest level of DDT depositions in its body? Option A, eel. Option B, crab. Option C, seagull. And option D, phytoplankton. The correct answer is option C, seagull. Moving on to the next question. The presence of frequent water blooms in a lake indicates option A, nutrient deficiency. Option B, oxygen deficiency. Option C, excessive nutrient availability. And option D, absence of herbivores in the lake. The correct answer is option B, oxygen deficiency. Moving on to the next question. By how much has the mean global temperature increased in the last 20th century? Option A, 0.2%. Option B, 0.4%. Option C, 0.6%. And option D, 0.8%. The correct answer is option C, 0.6%. Moving on to the next question. Deforestation results in option A, increased sunlight. Option B, increased grazing area. Option C, weed control. And option D, soil erosion. The correct answer is option D, soil erosion. Moving on to the next question. By removing the forest cover, which constituent of the atmosphere is likely to change? Option A, O2. Option B, CO2 level is increased. Option C, O2 level significantly increases. And option D, CO2 level is significantly decreased. The correct answer is option B, CO2 level is increased. The next question is, which of the following is not used to disinfect drinking water? The correct answer is option A, chlorine. Option B, ozone. Option C, chloramine. Option D, phenyl. The correct answer is option D, phenyl. Moving on to the next question. What is the BOD limit prescribed by the Central Pollution Control Board for the discharge of industrial and municipal wastewater into natural surface water? Option A, less than 10 ppm. Option B, less than 100 ppm. Option C, less than 30 ppm. And option D, less than 3 ppm. The correct answer is option A, less than 10 ppm. Moving on to the next question. Pollution from photochemical smoke does not contain option A, nitrogen dioxide. Option B, carbon dioxide. Option C, PAN. And option D, ozone. The correct answer is option B, carbon dioxide. Moving on to the next question. The Montreal Protocol, which calls for action to protect the ozone layer from human activities, was adopted in the year option A, 1987, option B, 1988, option C, 1985, and option D, 1986. The correct answer is option A, 1987. Moving on to the next question. Electrostatic precipitators are installed in coal-fired power plants to control emissions of option A, NOx, option B, SPM, option C, CO, and option D, SO2. The correct answer is option B, SPM. Moving on to the next question. Bioindicators of water pollution cannot include which of the following? Option A, bloodworms. Option B, stone flies. Option C, sewage fungus. And option D, sludge worms. The correct answer is option B, stone flies. The next question is, A global agreement on specific control strategies to reduce ozone depleting substances has been adopted by option A, the Montreal Protocol, option B, the Kyoto Protocol, option C, the Vienna Convention, and option D, Rio de Janeiro Conference. The correct answer is option A, the Montreal Protocol. Moving on to the next question. Greenhouse gas concentrations are very high today because of the option A, use of refrigerators, option B, increased combustion of oils and coal, option C, deforestation, and option D, all of these. The correct answer is option D, all of these. The next question is, what plant species would you choose for the production of bioethanol? Option A, Zea maize, option B, Pongamia, option C, Jatropha, and option D, Brassica. The correct answer is option C, Jatropha. Moving on to the next question. As a biofuel substitute for fossil fuels, which of the following is being tried in India? Option A, Jatropha, option B, Azadirachta, option C, Musa, and option D, Agilops. The correct answer is option A, Jatropha. Moving on to the next question. Where was the World Summit on Sustainable Development 2002 held? Option A, Brazil, option B, Sweden, option C, Argentina, and option D, South Africa. The correct answer is option D, South Africa. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is a renewable exhaustible natural resource? Option A, coal, option B, petroleum, option C, minerals, and option D, forest. The correct answer is option D, forest. Moving on to the next question. Decibel is a standard abbreviation used for the quantitative expression of option A, the density of bacteria in a medium, option B, a particular pollutant, option C, the dominant bacillus in a culture, and option D, a certain pesticide. The correct answer is option B, a particular pollutant. Moving on to the next question. What are the two gases contributing most to the greenhouse gas? Option A, CO2 and CH4, option B, CH4 and N2O, option C, CFC and N2O, and option D, CO2 and N2O. The correct answer is option A, CO2 and CH4. Moving on to the next question. Where is good ozone found? Option A, mesosphere, option B, troposphere, option C, stratosphere, and option D, ionosphere. The correct answer is option C, stratosphere. Moving on to the next question. DDT residues are rapidly absorbed by the food chain and cause biomagnification because it is option A, moderately toxic, option B, non-toxic to aquatic plants, and option C, water soluble, option D, liposoluble. The next question is, Chipko movement was launched to protect option A, forests, option B, livestock, option C, wetlands, and option D, grasslands. The correct answer is option A, forests.
Like, share and subscribe our channel.